So my name is Chris Skaggs, and I'm with Soma Games, and we are here to talk about Feast and Friends.
I'm Samantha, and I am a narrative designer on the project, and I'm just happy to be here.
Right on, right on. Sammy, today I would like to start talking about kind of the story that goes into this whole thing.
So we wanted to open up Feast and Friends with, it's in that season directly after the events of the Scout, so their Lily Grove is rebuilding. We've got this quiet before the storm where Rootsworth is feasting with his friend, and he brings up this old dream he had to one day cook at Redwall. He doesn't believe he can do it, so to kind of bolster his strength and practice to where he felt good enough with himself, he decides that he's going to practice the whole month, compete in the Lily Grove annual cook-off, try to take the blue ribbon to prove that he's got what it takes to work towards Redwall.
Yeah, I know we get a lot of characters from the Scout. Like, who are we going to see?
Let's see, we're going to see Laban, who is a personal Office fan favorite. We'll see Albert and Ichabod. Dorabella, actually, if you recall from the Scout, is kind of a cantankerous old lady, and she's sort of our main catalyst. Antagonist almost. Like, she's not a bad guy. She's just really rough around the edges. Really, really rough. And that,
well, she's the reigning champion.
Yeah, and so she's been the blue ribbon winner for the last, like, lifetime.
From the design perspective, I remember a moment where you had seen some of the game mechanics, but at some point you came and you were like, oh, this is a story game.
Yes. Yeah, that was a really great moment because I was, for a while there, just trying to figure out how to put a story into a cooking game. Like,
what's the story of onions?
But yeah, that clicking point of the narrative is actually leading the cooking and not the other way around was a game changer. So that I was actually writing the narrative around recipes that made sense for where the person was from, or the ingredients they'd be familiar with, or be particularly fond of based on their species.
Yeah. But cooking games usually are about time management. Maybe they're about crafting, kind of like putting stuff together, which is fine. But personally, that's not ever what made cooking for me, like what the point was. But I couldn't tell you what it was until a friend of mine came over, and I'm looking at you, Lynette. She came over and we were doing spaghetti night, and she puts this meatball in her mouth, and like the eyes roll back in her head, and she says, "That's the best meatball I've ever had." Now, this is not a brag on my cooking, but that moment was when I realized cooking is all about people.
Yeah.
Food is all about community. Food is all about story.
And that's honestly how it's always been in Redwall as well, like in the books. And this is something that the fans really remember so fondly. But between the high octane, action, adventure, mysteries, war, there were these quiet moments of feasting and fellowship, of being with your fellow critters and just appreciating the simplicities of life.
But you guys are going to want to check it out. You're going to want to see how that whole thing comes together. And remember, the name is Feast and Friends. The cooking is a mechanism to learn about people and to build relationships. And so we're really excited about that as a gameplay.